Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for.
But seriously, sorry guys that it took so long to get this video out to you. I hope you find the video useful. Here are a couple things that you're going to need for the install, and I probably forgot a few things here and there, but if you watch the video in the entirety, it should be super easy to follow along and install your camera. So the first step is to take the topper off, because we're going to be mounting the camera inside the topper facing down. So the topper is held on by, shout out to E3, you like those little freebies right there? The topper is held on by 4 screws, one in each corner. So there's one right there, there's one right there, and then same on the other side. There's one in the far back, see one in the front, hard to get that one. So you take those out, and then the topper will come right off. I should note that the configuration of the cameras, or sorry, not the cameras, the configuration of these LED lights is a little bit different in all these machines. I think the last time I installed, they were going this way, horizontal on the machine. And even the model before that one, there was 2 LED strips. So you might have to make some adjustments based on the type of lighting you have in your machine. But like I said, this one's new for me, so we'll figure it out as we go here. And so one of the reasons that I install the cameras the way that I do is because it is kind of a pain to take these toppers off. I mean, it's not really something that I'd want to do on location. I know some people don't have a problem doing that, but and that's the reason that I decase the camera. So decasing the camera allows me to hit the reset button, and when the camera's in the case, it's almost impossible to get to. When it's out of the case, there's a little protruding button. Here's the last one. So on past machines, what I have done is I mount the camera kind of over here because the LED light is, well, it used to be going this way. It's now going this way. And so I'd mount the camera kind of in this area here, and then I was able to put my finger up here and hit that reset button on the camera if I needed to. Just because of how tight the lighting is, or where the lighting is sitting now, it's a little bit tighter than it used to be on the other models. So I'm not sure. I might end up just drilling a secondary hole over here, just to reach up and hit that reset button. Yeah, I think that'll be good. I think that's probably what we'll end up doing. I'm gonna start by getting the camera ready for install. This is the Blink mini camera from Amazon. You can pick them up for about $18 when they go on sale. I've been using these probably for, I don't know, I'd say about 4 months now in my other machines, and they work pretty good. They're pretty reliable. For the price. On the back of each camera is a QR code, and you use that QR code to scan in the app. And because, like I said, I take the board out of the case, I don't have access to that QR code anymore. So I take a picture of it, and then I print it out and I stick it on the inside door of the machine. So if I ever need to relink the camera, I can just easily scan it on my phone. So let's take this thing apart. We'll start by pulling off the bottom base of the camera. To do that, you just pull really hard, it'll pop right off. And then on the bottom here, you can see the reset button for the camera. This is part of the reason, like I said, why I decase the camera. It's just really hard to access this button, especially when it's mounted in the top of the machine. So by taking it out of the case, it's just a lot easier to get that button. You'll see in a second here. So you use a flathead screwdriver, and you can just pry around the back side of the case, like so, and it'll just pull apart like that. This is the speaker for the camera.
Some of my machines I leave that off. Some of them I put it back on, but you'll just set that aside for now. And you're done with that back piece. And this is the inside of the camera, so we'll use a small Phillips. There's 2 screws. We'll just take those off. And then you'll be able to, there's 2 pieces, there's 2 boards in here. You'll wiggle the top one off, that's 1. And then there's 2 more screws for the bottom. Now I've got the bottom board, and then you can clip them back together. Let's see if I can show on camera here. You can see the pins. Line the pins back up and push it back together. Sometimes I'll take a dab of glue and just put it between the 2 boards, right here. And that'll keep it together, but it holds together pretty well with the pins. I'll go ahead and put that glue on here quick. Just a little dab. Right there. And that's your camera right there. So now with the camera out of the case, you can see that there's the little reset button is right here. A lot easier to access and push with one finger versus using a paper clip. If you do want to use the speaker and be able to talk through the app, on some of the machines I've soldered just little wires and connected to the pads right here. That's the speaker pads.
Moving on to powering the camera quick. I use these little adapters here. They're really easy to install and they make for a clean install. It's just a USB female and two cables, a ground and a power. And so we'll plug the black into the ground on the power supply and the white to the 5-volt. You could just run these wires into the terminals. I like to kind of clean it up a little bit and I put spade terminals on. So got the spade terminals put on, so we can move on to the wiring now. All right, let's install it. Make sure the machine's off. And again, we're going to put the black on the ground, which is right there, and the white on the 5-volt. Tighten them up. And then take the wire and you'll zip tie it kind of into place somewhere. That looks good. Got the wire all tidied up in here. So the cable will run down the side here from the camera and we'll plug right into it and then we'll have power. So from the front of the machine, just marking my hole to drill, right about 8 inches there and 8 3/4 from front to back. And that's where I installed the cameras on the last batch of machines too, so it looks like even with the light in this different spot, it'll work just fine. Kind of hard to do this holding a camera and the drill, but you get the idea. Drill this one, then go to the stepper bit. All right, first hole is drilled. Now we got the stepper bit. You get the idea. All right, so I go to about 5/8, and then you can see how the hole's a little bit tapered. Then I go from the inside of the machine and up, and that just gives me a better cut.
So now we've got a nice clean hole, and our camera lens can fit right in there.
I was talking about that ramp earlier, and I kind of use that to put the camera at an angle like that. So we'll get into that in a second. Just going to take a quick break from the camera install. The ramp I'm referring to are pieces of leftover rubber from bumpers that I create from rubber stoppers that I add to the machines. From the factory, the front switches either don't hit, and when they don't hit, the motor, if somebody's pulling on the joystick, the motor keeps running and doesn't shut down. It just burns out your motors. And one of the main reasons that I like to put it on is because when the claw drops, it'll hit that prize fence and can cause it to get stuck. So got a little bit of crazy glue on there. Now we can just stick it right on, just like that. But from here, you want to decide where you want your reset button to be. Typically in the past, I had it facing this way. And like I said, I'd poke my finger up through here and I'd be able to hit that button. But now you can see there's kind of a little bit extra stuff in the way. So I'm going to take a look at this for a minute and kind of figure out what might make more sense here. Well, it looks like I can still get my finger up through this hole here and hit that reset button. The other option would be to maybe spin it this way, drill a secondary hole right here, and then you'd be able to reach up and get to that reset button right there. So just to kind of see my camera angles, I plugged in the USB for the camera and just ran it up the back side here. Just trying to figure out what makes the most sense. I was kind of thinking maybe I'd mount it like this and be able to tilt it up and get more of a view outside the machine. But as you can see, I kind of lose the left side of the playfield, and I don't really like that. I think because I can still reach the reset button by sticking my finger through that hole, I'm gonna mount it just like that, like I've been doing. So I just put a little piece of double-sided tape on there just to kind of hold it in place for me while I do this. And so, referencing the camera up here, I'm just going to kind of get it in a position that looks pretty close to what I want. And then I use these little bumpers that we cut. I kind of just stick them in like this. And so the end result is that. And for the bumpers, you can either use double stick tape on the bottom of them or just squirt some crazy glue around it and go crazy. So there's what the final shot looks like, or the final placement looks like. That crazy glue does a really good job of adhering those little bumpers. So we've got this cover pulled back. This is we'll follow these wires and run the USB down those same ones. So we'll start with the USB cable. Just push that through. And go on the back side and pull the excess through. The alarm on these new ones is quite sensitive, holy cow. So then from around, we'll go around the track up here. And then up. So we have a little bit extra. Actually do a loop and then plug it in, so that should be a pretty good length right there. Once your cable management's all wrapped up, you should have something that resembles that. I put these extra loops up here just so that I can
make sure that the wires are coming out of this side and they don't cross over here, just because I'm using that as my access for the reset button. So that's it. For those that have fat fingers and need to drill their holes over here on that side, you can skip the next step, I guess, but the topper plastic edge sits and kind of blocks this hole, so you have to notch out a little area on the topper, so we'll do that next. So you can see there's that little ledge that I was talking about. There's a little lip on there that blocks that hole. So just set it kind of in its spot there, and then grab a marker. And from the inside you can trace around the, I don't know, I can't even get a shot of it, but you can trace around the hole. This is just a trace from the inside up to the top, so we'll probably cut something like this. We'll cut out this area and then put the topper back on. This is what I'm going to use to cut here, here, and then I usually use a razor blade and just score that a couple times, then fold it in. Got our notch cut out. Now we can go ahead and screw it back to the top of the machine. And once you're finished, that's what it looks like from the inside. And you can sit back and watch people win prizes from your machine, check your stock, and best of all, watch people beat the living shit out of your machine. Hope this video was helpful. Peace.